Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football, welcome back to a brand new video. I hope all of you are doing well today. It's off the back of a banging Champions League night last night, wasn't it? Quite unbelievable there in terms of what went down. Bayern Munich still not getting a result against Manchester City. Manchester City moving into the semi-final of the Champions League. So it's Real Madrid versus Manchester City at the other game where goals galore. But Inter Milan go through to the semi-final where they will face AC Milan. I just have to we're going to talk Poch and Nagelsmann and the latest in terms of Chelsea and whatnot. But have to talk about very quickly AC Milan, Inter Milan in the semi-final of the Champions League is perfect. Why? It's perfect because the San Siro is getting demolished next year and we get to see two legs of a semi-final between the two Milan teams at the San Siro for the final time. It's never going to happen again. Cherish it, embrace it, take it all in, and then next year we say goodbye to the San Siro, such an iconic stadium. It's going to be incredible to see those semi-finals alongside Real Madrid, Manchester City, where now I think it's pretty clear, the favourite's definitely going to be one of those two in terms of winning the whole Champions League. So we'll see what happens, but Man City look good. Bayern Munich, on the other hand, problems, issues, didn't quite go to plan. I'm not going to lie. I thought Thomas Tuchel would rock up, but I thought Bayern Munich were good. I thought Bayern Munich had everything going for them. I thought Tuchel would be able to move in and just pick up where Nagelsmann, left off, and it was just a case of getting the system going. And I thought Bayern Munich would be playing even better than what they were doing under Nagelsmann, but they've got problems, they've got issues, they've got instability. And this kind of links to the Chelsea news because I'm going to be talking about Nagelsmann in a bit. But with Thomas Tuchel going in, all sorts of instability, Nagelsmann getting sacked for non-footballing reasons apparently, much like Tuchel at Chelsea. Change of manager, change of system, it all comes drastic. Bayern Munich made the change to try and get some sort of I don't know, do you want to call it a bounce? Bayern Munich weren't even bad under Nagelsmann, but they were after some sort of a bounce, I guess, to stay in the remaining competitions. They are now eliminated from all the other competitions. And there was a bust-up, Mane punching Sane in the face. I mean, that's just going to... The whole squad, I'm sure, is at a little bit of turbulence. So it's no surprise that right now Man City have dominated them. And this leads onto... what do we expect from Nagelsmann in that case? But before we get to Nagelsmann, we've got to talk about the other guy. And no, it's not Luis Enrique, it's Pochettino. Maurizio Pochettino, here's the latest from Fabrizio Romano as we get cracking. Check this out. Chelsea have also contacted Maurizio Pochettino in the last few days. It's the first direct approach after last summer when he was in the list. Nothing advanced yet. Nagelsmann remains favourite. Talks will continue as Chelsea want to be 100% sure of their choice. Now, we have to be, logical here. Pochettino is definitely seen as the backup. And I think there's one fundamental reason why Pochettino's got ahead of Luis Enrique in the running for the Chelsea manager's job. Why? Because I think Pochettino's emphasised more on being able to develop youth than Luis Enrique is. And even though Luis Enrique, we know, can treat youth pretty well, but it seems like Pochettino's history and how he did it at Spurs, especially in terms of getting some youth through, or dealing with youthful players as a whole, is going to give him the advantage. And hence why I think now he's alongside Nagelsmann as the favourites to take the Chelsea job. Because this ownership want to make sure that whoever's in charge is going to be paying attention to the youthful products that we have at the club. I hate to use products. That's the way that it is nowadays. I'm flipping it. They're human beings and they're players. But, players coming from the youth team, but not just that. Some of the young players that we signed that have gone into the academy or have gone out on loan to develop and then come into the first team later, like Casady, if you remember Casady, who we signed from Inter Milan, if I'm not mistaken. But players like him, they're young, right? But there's a project in terms of getting them back from loan after they've developed a bit to get them into the first team squad. That's going to be the advantage that Pochettino has overall because of his track record in that aspect. But that's the only thing that I see going for him. let's be realistic. Pochettino is not going to be the Chelsea manager. It's clear as day that this board and the new owners are already afraid of backlash within the fan base, right? They got it under Graham Potter. They made the decision to sack because the backlash from the fans was starting to get very heated. That was probably the only reason. If not, they would have stuck with him. And then they get Lampard in just to appease the fans, right? So it's clear that they're worried about fans overall. Pochettino is not going to be accepted by 100% of the fan base. Now, personally, I don't have an issue in terms of where a manager's been before. You know, I have an issue if a manager has said something about our club before, Benitez being an example. You remember what Rafa said when he was at Liverpool about us, right? Being plastic and whatnot? Yeah. You say something like that, I got a problem with you. Even then, with Rafa, the way it ended, he got that Europa League with us, and I was like, you know what? All right, respect. Now, see you later. Thank you very much. Shake hands. Goodbye and good luck. Done. Right? With Poch, I've not got an issue that he's ex-Tottenham. I've not got an issue because back then, no one in their right mind would have even thought that he would be in the running for the Chelsea job. No one. But he can't change where he's been. He can't change what job he's had in the past. It is what it is. That's his career. That's what he's had. Cool. So I've not got a problem with that. But there will be people in the Chelsea fan base that will not accept Pochettino because he's ex-Tottenham. That's it. You know, and maybe they think he's not going to have, you know, our interests at heart because we're Chelsea and he's ex-Spurs and he's got maybe a little touch for Tottenham and they don't want to risk that. Which, fair enough. I get that as well. So this leads me on to who is the main culprit and who do I honestly believe I think it's going to happen. Who's going to be the new Chelsea manager? It's going to be this guy, Mr. Nagelsmann. Julian Nagelsmann. Let's get cracking in terms of, I've got two quotes that he has said, which I think goes in his favour as to why he's going to get the job. He's going to get the job. Let's keep it running. Here it is. Nagelsmann on managing a top club. They only want to see victories every game. Titles, Champions League, trophies. If you don't win, you can't say, but I'm still young. I'm still developing. It's not that easy. And as CFC PYS has put, he gets it. You know what? If he said this, it brings a level of comfort to me. Because my initial concern with Nagelsmann was that his age could be a factor. No matter if he likes it or if he doesn't like it, his age could be a factor just on the level of people the players might not see up to him. They might not look up to him. They might just look at him on the same level because he's young. No matter what he says or does or commands respect or whatnot, they just might not. You know, as compared to someone who's a little bit elder, who's a little bit senior, where they have to look up. With someone like Thiago Silva, with someone like Nagelsmann, who is younger than Thiago Silva, you know, he's within the age bracket of players where they make the decision on whether they're going to retire or not. You know, 35 years old could be a little too close to home, where, as I've said, some players might just look at him as a mate rather than the gaffer. Do you know what I mean? And we can't have that too much. So that was my initial concern. But if he's already got it in his head that the pressure's the pressure and he has to deliver no matter what, and he has to get that across to the players and emphasize that I don't care how young I am, you're going to listen to what I have to say because we have to succeed, because if not, I'm going to get the chop and you guys will look like idiots. Do you want that to happen? No. Yeah, you know, so there's a case of hearing this brings me a level of comfort that he understands that no matter what, you're young, it's not an excuse. Albeit, it could be seen as an excuse. What he's done by age 35 is actually commendable. What he's done at Hoffenheim, what he's done at Leipzig, what he did at Bayern Munich, and this is where I go back to yesterday's game with Manchester City. Bayern Munich was struggling to score there. And I understand, as I've said, there's instability, and this isn't on Thomas Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel, give him a little bit of time, he will succeed at Bayern Munich. He will succeed. But the instability in the dressing room right now, you look at how they were prior to that. With Nagelsmann, they were scoring goals for fun. They were, for fun. And he'd only lost 3 games the whole season. I mean, it's commendable. Had them in every competition and was looking good. Gets fired, gets sacked for reasons unknown, right? So it's nice for him to hear, it's nice for us to hear that he gets to say that me being young is not going to be an excuse, right? Albeit what he's done up until now is very commendable and fair play to him. But Chelsea, is another level. And it's not just another level because some people will say, no, Bayern Munich is an elite club. Absolutely. But Chelsea, it's history. How managers roll at Chelsea. The Premier League, the media in this country. It's all sorts of new levels of pressure and levels of attraction and levels of having to do well. It's a different gravy. So there's that. Now, why I think he'll get the job is mainly because of this point that I'm going to show you now, which is probably a reason why Luis Enrique's been swept to the side. Luis Enrique probably going down the route of, I want control over the transfers and who's going to be coming into the club. Nagelsmann and the way that he sees it, I think is, in the modern day, it's correct. It's logical. Is it right? Realistically, when you take football to its core, no. But with the way that football is nowadays, it's the correct approach. Here's what he has to say, and then we'll analyze it a bit. Check this out. Nagelsmann on transfers. First, we discuss internally and choose the players together. When things get serious, Hassan, Oliver, Marco, and I meet the player to make sure that he fits in. I want to personally look him into the eyes. I am convinced that the club should have the last word because, in general, the player stays at the club more than the coach. The club is allowed to get a player they want and you have to work with them. Fits into the strategy we have. That's the strategy of modern football. That's just how it is, I think. Because he makes a point. Players will outlast managers. That's just the reality. For a coach to outlast a player, the coach has to be in charge for over 10 years. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in the modern day. Now, when you go back to when that did happen, absolutely the manager needs to be the one with the final say. Hence why Arsene Wenger said what he said on beIN Sports when Chelsea lost to Real Madrid. He said, I had it in my contract that, one, no one allowed in the dressing room. I don't want anyone to undermine my work. And two, I have the say on transfers because I need to get what works for me. And that's correct. Football at its core, that's the correct approach. And it shouldn't change, really. Because the manager is there, you get what fits him. So then he can get the team to play how he wants. It makes sense. But this is a way, I think, for us to be able to go and get players that are versatile. It doesn't have to be players that are against the way the manager wants to play. But players that are versatile enough to fit under any style of playing. If they're going to play under a manager that's offensive, that plays on a very high press, right, on a very high line, maybe they can adapt. If they play again with a manager that maybe has them playing defensive, has them playing low block, right, they can adapt. Have they got someone that plays ultra possession based, right? You got to move the ball quick. They can adapt. Have they got someone that likes to play on the counter attack, right? They like to press, but they like to play on the counter. They can adapt. You got players that can be versatile to any style or philosophy. We had that. What was our success with JT and Drogba and Lampard and all these guys? They were versatile. They could play with a defensive manager. They could play with a manager that wants to play on the counter. They could play with a manager that wants to play completely attacking. They want to a team that wants to play going all out. They are versatile. Hence why we saw those players perform under Mourinho. We saw them perform under Ancelotti. We saw them perform under different gaffers, right? And they were able to remain versatile. That's the sort of players. Those are the sort of players that we need. I think Nagelsmann will be happy to take in, just in case as well. If Nagelsmann does get sacked, we get another manager in. We haven't got to worry about players coming in, getting rid of players, getting ones that are going to suit the manager. There's going to be a block and a spine that will adapt immediately. We haven't had that since the names that I've mentioned. So going down this route is correct in the modern day, and it makes sense. Nagelsmann being okay with that, but Nagelsmann has to be involved. And what he said in terms of I want to personally see them in the eyes means that he does have a factor in making the decision with the club is what we need to do. Absolutely. As long as he has that, he has his input and he's on the table. It's not someone that the club just go, oh, by the way, Julian, we're going to get this player and that player, yeah? Yeah, cool. All right, nice one. And then they just go off and do their business. No, right? Input has to be input. Nagelsmann needs to be at the table with them and properly collaborate. As long as that happens, I think that's okay. So that's where he gets the advantage, because the board want to be very, very, very collaborative. They want to be. The new owners want to be very collaborative. But I have to stress, and I have to stress this, collaborative doesn't mean Todd Bowley and those lot just do whatever the hell they want to do. They've employed people to come and do jobs. Let them work. Nagelsmann's going to come in. Let him work. Let him work. Let him work. His results will determine whether he deserves to go on or not. That will come later, right? Much like it did with Potter, much like it did with previous managers, much like all sorts, right? That's the way it goes down. The board, in terms of who they have as directors, who they have in terms of recruitment, and let people do their jobs. For Todd Bowley and Egbali and those up, back off a little bit, right? Observe, dictate, look in terms of the operations of the club, decisions being made, oversee things, but let people do their jobs. Let them do their role. Let them get on with it. Where you have to intervene. But for that, just let them get on with it. And the same goes for Nagelsmann when he does come in, because he will be the new Chelsea manager. I don't think it's going to be anybody else. I think it's pretty clear now in terms of where this is steering. So I'll be surprised if Nagelsmann somehow collapses. If that collapses, I have to say we should go all out. The only reason I see Nagelsmann to Chelsea collapsing is if Real Madrid get him. And if Real Madrid get him, it means Ancelotti's now out of a job, which means that Chelsea should absolutely go in for Carlo if Nagelsmann doesn't happen. That is something that I have to say. If Real Madrid poach Nagelsmann somehow, which I don't think will happen, but if it does happen, go and get Carlo. Immediately. That's what I have to say. So, there we are. That's the latest in terms of what's gone on in relation to Nagelsmann and Poch and all of that. Let me know down below your overall feelings and your overall opinions. Much appreciated. And I have to say, overall, to wrap up, I feel a lot more, let's say, confident, or a lot more at ease looking at Nagelsmann and hearing what he's had to say, hearing his past comments, seeing what he said. Another point I forgot to mention in terms of what he sees important in the team. He says his most important role in his team as a defensive midfielder is a 6. And I agree. Personally, for me, how a football team should function, the DM is the engine. Without a good DM, you've got a big chunk of your team missing. The DM is the engine of any team. So I hear that and I like it. Personally, me, in terms of how I see a football team functioning, I like that and I agree with him. A striker is key. He absolutely emphasises on the importance of having a top striker. We need a top striker, so that fits in. A top goalkeeper. We need a goalkeeper. So in terms of positions that we need, it seems like he's on board with exactly what this football team needs right now. And that might just be a match made in heaven in that case. So I feel a lot more ease and a lot more confident looking at Nagelsmann. And I think it will happen anyway. So let's see what happens. Let me know your thoughts down below. Much appreciated. And I will see all of you tomorrow for a brand new video. Thank you all very much for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you are new. Hit the notification bell to be notified once I've uploaded. Smash the like button if you've enjoyed this. I'll see you later, people. Have a good one. In a bit. Take care. And peace.